So if you look here on the bottom left, you will see a vehicle, and the father and the 5-year-old son is going into the store to buy some candy for the child. Now, here comes the individual with the concealed firearm in his SUV, and apparently he's had a history of coming to the store and getting in arguments with people who park in the handicap spot that do not have a handicap sticker. He checks the tag to see that this person doesn't have a handicap sticker, the front, and now he starts to have an argument with the female who is sitting in the driver's seat. So basically, he's decided to take the law into his own hands and harass people that basically are breaking a traffic or parking infraction. So now the boyfriend comes out of the store and he sees what's going on, and he's going up to this gentleman and actually going to push him violently. Now I slowed down the video here so you can clearly see that the gentleman who did the push is now taking 2 to 3 steps backwards and is no longer an immediate threat of physical violence. What's interesting is the guy with the concealed firearm actually had plenty of time to lock out his arms, get a good sight picture, and still pull the trigger. Alright folks, before I get started, I am hiding in my daughter's room. My man cave is going through some transition right now, so I'm hiding out over here. It's the quietest room in the house. Let me explain something to you folks about this video that you just watched. The stand your ground law. The stand your ground law here in Florida is not the statute explaining what deadly force is or when you cannot use it. Back in the colonial days, there was this thing called the Castle Doctrine. The Castle Doctrine basically means that you do not have a duty to retreat if somebody breaks into your house and tries to hurt or harm you and others. So basically, if somebody broke in, you can get your sword or whatever they had back then and defend themselves, and they didn't have to run away. Before the stand your ground law was passed, if you were in a public area, you had a duty to retreat if somebody tried to hurt you. So if you're in a parking lot of Kmart, this is obviously some years ago, somebody tried to hit you with a bat, if you could run away, you had a legal duty to retreat, so you had to run away. Well, when they passed the stand your ground law, it pretty much extended the Castle Doctrine out to all public areas. So now you no longer had to retreat. You could meet force with force. That's all the stand your ground law is, folks. There's a different statute on when you can use force up to deadly force to stop a forcible felony, or if you are in fear of serious bodily harm or imminent death. So I'm getting really tired of people on social media saying that this is, stand your ground law. No, it's not stand your ground law. Please, learn the laws in your state before you do something you're not supposed to be doing and you find yourself in handcuffs. Now, do I feel this shooting was justified? I got a big question mark. I'm kind of leaning towards the side where deadly force or the shooting was not legally justified. And the reason being is because that whole 4 to 5 second pause. Because if you watch the video from the time he was pushed, it's from the time he pulled the trigger, it's almost 4 to 5 seconds. That is a lot of time. You actually see the gentleman who's sitting down actually draw his weapon system from a holster, point it out the full presentation, lock out his arms, get a proper sight and sight alignment, and then use deadly force. That's a lot of time. And also the victim, well, I don't know if it's the victim, but the guy who was killed took 2 to 3 steps back and was no longer an immediate threat to the individual with a gun. That's how I see it. But the state attorney's office will now have to decide whether or not charges will be warranted. Another thing, a lot of people are pretty upset because the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department didn't charge this guy. There's nothing wrong with what they did, because if you remember, Zimmerman wasn't arrested by the police department either. It was the state attorney's office who decided to charge Mr. Zimmerman, and I feel this is the same thing that's going to happen here. Now, here in Florida, the burden of proof is on the state, whether or not the stand your ground immunity will fall on the individual who used the gun. So, if the state attorney's office says, okay, this does fall under stand your ground, he will be given immunity. In turn, he will not be charged with a crime. But I don't think that's going to happen, folks. I think this guy's actually going to see some sort of charge, whether it be manslaughter or third-degree murder or something like that. We'll have to wait and see what happens here. So I'm hoping I explained to you folks what the stand your ground law, that it's not the same thing as the state statute that covers the use of force off the deadly force. It's two separate things, folks. So stand by. As soon as I hear there's any charges, I will put up another video on my YouTube channel. So I like to close out all my videos like I close out every single one of my videos, and that is with my motto: prepare the battlefield for success. Thank you.